All the companies love data these days. Some fucked up reason. It's always like, oh, it's gonna tell us the truth. But then it's like, yeah, look at your marriage. Do you want to use data for changing your marriage forward? Then you will probably be divorced pretty fast.
And those pro bono projects and those yourself projects, like why you were telling me before we hit the record button, why you do them, why do you invest so much of your time and energy into these things and talk about them so much?
It's because we strongly believe that you need to push yourself, and you need sometimes to challenge your mind and creativity in ways that a limited client project will never do. No matter who the client is, there will always be limits. And today, more than ever, it's important to be able to try and test how high, how far can you go if there were no limits. How can you create something fairly new? All the companies love data these days. Some fucked up reason. It's always like, oh, it's gonna tell us the truth. But then it's like, yeah, look at your marriage. Do you want to use data for changing your marriage forward? Then you will probably be divorced pretty fast. But if you want to use a vision and like, where do we want to end up? How can we get better? Then you can't use data seeing and looking back, because data is just today and backwards. Vision is today and forward. So everyone needs vision. Everyone who ever invented anything in this world had vision and not data. Everyone. If without vision, if everything was trusted on data, there wouldn't be companies like Apple. It wouldn't. They would, because iPhone, no one knew that you wanted an iPhone. So if they would have gone out and asked people, "You want an iPhone?" People didn't know. People didn't know there existed something like an iPhone before it existed. So people would have said no, and there would be in a forever ending spiral where the consumer, what consumer thinks or he or she wants or needs, will be what creates, instead of like having beautiful minds creating something spectacular with vision and risk involved. I think it's more risky to be enslaved by data in a way. I think that when you work, sometimes you can run into UX teams where, oh, we need to make the buy button or add to basket button big and green, because we have data that people press big and green buttons in order to whatever. Uh, but then it's like, yeah, but then you don't care about brands. If you take a fashion brand and you put huge fucking big green buttons everywhere, add to basket, not only are you like minimizing the intelligence of the buyer, because they can find that fucking basket adding button easily, even if it's just a small plus sign, uh, and also they won't press add to basket just because it's big and green, because it has to do with lifestyle and branding, it has to do with so many more behaviors. So simply just using data, it will only tell you the data you're measuring, nothing else. So it's just like, did Hitler love children? Yes, he did. Great. Let's build a film about that. Well, maybe you're missing out some other interesting data about that man. Oh, but we're only interested in this data. Yeah, but if you want to build a brand, it's kind of important to have a big picture and kind of knowing more. And I think that that can be the risk of data and AI and everything. It's just like you don't get that other thing, you don't get that perspective.